Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are tackling one of the absolute highest stakes challenges you are going to face in a testing center. If you're prepping for the IELTS exam, especially if you're a candidate aiming for Canadian Express entry or a UK skilled work visa, you already know time is your absolute most precious commodity. The Writing Task 2 section demands a highly structured, well-argued essay. But here's the catch. Before you can even get to your brilliant arguments, you have to actually write that very first sentence. So our goal today? We are going to completely eliminate first-line panic. We're going to save you crucial exam time right out of the gate, ensuring you launch into your essay with total confidence and pinpoint academic precision.
Let's be completely honest for a second here. Have you ever sat down to practice an essay, read the prompt, and then just frozen? You know the feeling. You sit there in the exam hall, the clock is relentlessly ticking down, and you're desperately trying to find the absolute perfect synonyms to rewrite the question. You know you shouldn't just copy the prompt word for word, but forcing your brain to act like a human thesaurus under immense pressure? It's the worst. It drains your mental energy, and more importantly, it costs you valuable minutes that you desperately need for your body paragraphs. Well, if that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone, and you are exactly where you need to be.
So what if there was a mechanical, completely repeatable, and highly effective way to just bypass that panic altogether? In this explainer, we are deconstructing what's called the split and flip strategy. By the end of our time today, you're going to have a rock-solid, reliable method to perfectly paraphrase literally any IELTS Task 2 prompt in under 60 seconds. We're going to dive deep into the mechanics of sentence construction, relying on smart syntax and strategy rather than just crossing our fingers and hoping we remember a giant list of vocab words.
All right, here's our blueprint for today. We're going to quickly cover the traps, then walk through the 3 steps of split, flip, and swap. After that, we'll reveal the final result and wrap up with mastering your next essay. Let's get right to it.
Section 1. The traps. Why typical methods fail.
You know, it's absolutely crucial to understand what not to do first, because honestly, standard paraphrasing advice is probably hurting your score. Most tutorials just vaguely tell you to paraphrase the prompt in your own words, but when you actually try to do that under exam conditions, candidates almost always fall into 2 very specific traps that practically guarantee their grammatical and vocabulary scores get capped at a 5.0. Trap number 1 is the synonym swap trap. This is when you try to change every single word using some dictionary memorized, swapping words regardless of their actual context. The result? Super unnatural English that examiners immediately mark down. Trap number 2 is grammatical laziness. That's when you focus entirely on changing the words, but you keep the exact same sentence structure. The examiner notices in a heartbeat that you're demonstrating zero grammatical flexibility.
Let's actually compare a 5.0 attempt with an 8.0 attempt to see what this looks like in practice. A 5.0 candidate stuck in the synonym swap trap might write something like, "A portion of individuals trust that the prompt acceleration of mechanical brains will make humans jobless." I mean, yikes, right? Notice how totally robotic and awkward mechanical brains sounds for artificial intelligence? Now, let's look at an 8.0 text. It is argued by some that the swift advancement of automated systems will ultimately displace human labor. Wow. The 8.0 version feels so professional and academic, right? Because both the grammar and the vocabulary were changed naturally. The difference between these 2 scores isn't about one person being smarter, it's purely about technique. And that right there perfectly illustrates why we absolutely need a system. To achieve that 8.0 result without the panic, we are going to use a foundational 3-step framework. And it's beautifully simple. First, we split the prompt. Second, we flip the structure. And third, we execute a strategic word swap. Let's transition over and actually do a live sentence deconstruction of a real prompt using this exact method.
Step 1. Split the prompt. Okay, this is the very first actionable step you're going to take the literal second your exam timer starts. We are not going to even think about vocabulary yet. We are looking purely at structure. Here is our baseline, an original IELTS essay prompt. Some people believe that the rapid development of artificial intelligence will eventually make human workers obsolete. This is a super standard, opinion-based Task 2 question. Now, if your first instinct is to try and replace some people with certain individuals, stop. You're already falling into the trap. Let's apply step 1 instead. We are going to logically divide this sentence right down the middle into 2 distinct functional parts. First, we isolate clause A, which is the general opinion frame. Some people believe that. Next, we isolate clause B, the specific core argument. The rapid development of artificial intelligence will eventually make human workers obsolete. The examiner desperately wants to see that you can identify where a general belief ends and where the specific claim begins.
Do not just rewrite these in the exact same order. Split them structurally right away. It's like taking apart a puzzle before you rebuild it.
Step 2. Flip the structure. Now that we've got our distinct clauses separated, we move dynamically into the structure flip. Guys, this is where you instantly upgrade your grammatical range, and it is the secret sauce that separates a 5.0 from an 8.0. To score highly, we're going to convert the active voice to an impersonal passive voice. Notice how the active subject, some people believe that, beautifully flips into it is argued by some that. By executing this quick syntactic shift, you immediately signal to the examiner that you understand complex academic structures. You've basically won half the battle before you've even touched the vocabulary of the main argument.
Step 3. The strategic word swap. Notice how vocabulary is the very last step in our framework? Now that our grammatical foundation is rock solid, we can finally look at the words. And restraint is absolutely key here. We are not touching every single word. We only want to target 3 key content phrases. First, we take rapid development and strategically swap it for swift advancement. Then, we take artificial intelligence and upgrade it to automated systems. Finally, we take the phrase make human workers obsolete and condense it perfectly into displace human labor. We didn't destroy the original sentence with a dictionary, we just made smart, targeted, highly academic upgrades.
Section 5. The final result.
Okay, let's recap. We split the prompt, we flipped the grammar to passive, and we swapped exactly 3 phrases. Let's see how this all builds into our final result. It is argued by some that the swift advancement of automated systems will ultimately displace human labor. I mean, that is a flawless, high-scoring first sentence. And the best part? Applying this mechanical framework takes less than 45 seconds to construct once you're used to it. We didn't just copy the prompt, we avoided bizarre, unnatural vocab, and our grammar is completely undeniably accurate. This is the immediate, powerful start your essay deserves.
Section 6. Mastering your next essay. So the split and flip framework is obviously incredibly powerful, and it totally demystifies the paraphrasing process for standard opinion prompts. But what if the exam throws you a curveball, like a double question prompt, or maybe a discussion prompt, or an advantages and disadvantages essay? Well, the great news is the structural logic remains exactly the same. The source material for today's explainer actually highlights the IELTS Task 2 template pack, which provides the exact grammatical blueprints and text-based synonym maps for all 5 major essay types. It's specifically designed for candidates who need that exact writing score for professional relocation. Relying on structural templates like these gives you an absolute analytical advantage on test day.
So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought and a bit of a challenge. Are you ready to eliminate first-line panic and write your next essay with absolute clarity? I want you to take this split, flip, and swap method and try applying it to the very next practice prompt you see. Resist the urge to reach for the dictionary first. Look at the structure, break it apart, flip the grammar, and then elegantly swap your key terms. When you save those vital minutes at the start, you save your energy for the body paragraphs, and that is where the bulk of your marks are truly decided. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep practicing strategically, and I'll catch you next time.